Hey, I'm Nick Cosentino, and I'm one of the creators of BrandGhost. And I made a video previously talking about topic streams that we have in BrandGhost, and really how I like to think about content creation, my sort of workflow in terms of how I start coming up with ideas, different things I use for that. So, in my case, as a software engineering content creator, I like doing vlogs first. It's an easy way for me to get some content ideas going. Then I go from there and I'm able to have some of those transcripts pulled into BrandGhost. I have those videos that go up to YouTube and I can make posts that go out and share them. So there's sort of this feedback loop that comes from YouTube, but I can use all of that and start creating more content out of that content. So it's kind of like this snowball effect. So that works really well for me. But in that video, I was talking about some of the other things we're trying to build out in BrandGhost that really try to help you in terms of the content you're creating and how you can make more content out of that. Now, in this video, I'm not going to jump to the finished product yet. I kind of want to use this as a stepping stone to show you what you can do with AI. And no, you don't need BrandGhost specifically to do this. You could go do this in ChatGPT or anything else. I just want to show you that we're building some of this functionality into BrandGhost. And then when we have the finished product ready to demo it to you on a video and have it available for you to, as a user, leverage it, that way you can see kind of the evolution, why it's so powerful. So hopefully that makes sense, and hopefully the rest of this video makes sense. But what I'd like to do is jump over. So I'm going to show BrandGhost on my screen right here. I'll keep my face in the corner. And so what I have on screen right now is just a test topic stream that I have on my account. And this one has some funny posts on it. So you can see at the top, it says cats sleep 12 to 16 hours a day. And then right below that, there's one that says feline insights. And these two posts are created by AI, and they're not good, but that's okay because this is, like I said, just a sort of stepping stone that we have in terms of the product. So let me go ahead and just show you what this looks like. I know it's partially behind my head. The actual content of this doesn't really matter for you to read because I'm going to read some of it out, and it's pretty terrible, right? So the nice thing is that we have some of the formatting, maybe just to show you that I will kind of pull it over here. But we do have some formatting that's nice, but the content is kind of ridiculous. And to be transparent, I told AI to generate a post that was cat facts. So of course it's kind of silly in that regard, but the actual content, it's not how I would write. So to give you an example, like this is a pretty common thing that we see if you're a content creator on the internet. You'll see M dashes. AI uses a lot of M dashes. I actually use M dashes, but not like exactly an M dash. When I type stuff, I literally will do two dashes to make an M dash. It's not actually an M dash, but I type that way. So, if I wanted to use a post like this that was made by AI, I would go through and I would probably replace M dashes with two dashes because that's how I type. If this were a LinkedIn post, what I would probably do is have this extra space up at the top, right? So formatting actually does make a big difference when you're posting. I do like that this is kind of what we would call bursty in terms of how it's structured, but this is actually coming from a template. Okay, and what we've done in BrandGhost, and we can continue to extend this, and we will extend this, but we have a bunch of templates. I think there's like 20 or so loaded up right now. So there's 20 templates that actually sort of define the shape or the structure of the post. And that might sound kind of weird because like the content is one thing. So what this topic is about, this is literally cat facts. So it's kind of silly, but the content is one thing. How you write in terms of like the words you use and things like that, that's also, mixed with the content. You probably want that to be based on you like things that you actually have experience in your your insights, your perspective, that kind of stuff. This is literally fully AI, this particular post. But the other thing is like the structure and the shape. And so like, what do I mean by that? Well, things like a hook, or how we actually want the post to flow. So like just another example is like this post has, in part of the template has like include a bulleted list and where that bulleted list is. And there's like, is there a call to action on this one? Yeah, I think this one here, like take 2 weeks to start the ORA routine, whatever that is. Observe, record, act, right? This is some sort of cat fact thing. But so like it has a call to action at the end. And then in this particular case, the template actually said like you should for this type of post, probably include a visual. I'm just focused on the text for now, so kind of ignore this thing like this visual, like close up of cat's whiskers kind of thing, whatever. But the template itself gives us some structure. So in part of the rest of this video here, what I'm going to show you is that I can go generate more of these. It will take advantage of different templates that we have in the system, but what it's not currently doing, which we will pull together at a later date, is we actually have, things like your content in the platform. If you post through BrandGhost, or if you use the other features that allow us to ingest content, we have basically access to your content. We have access to the different things you've posted about, sort of your perspectives and things you want to share. And ideally, that means we also get examples of your tone of voice. If you watch the previous video that I made on this, I had said, let me just go back to this view so I can talk with my hands a bit. But I had said in that video that I do vlogs, right? And I mentioned that at the beginning of this one as well. But I do those vlogs for a bunch of different reasons. One is that it lets me create more content, which that's helpful for a bunch of reasons. So I can answer questions for people, for software engineers, and try to help, because that's, one of the things that I really get a lot of enjoyment out of. But the other sort of like selfish reason that I do it is that I get content. And I don't just mean content to go post, because that's helpful, sure, but the really selfish thing is that I get content that I can use in BrandGhost. And what do I mean by that? Because I don't just mean to be able to post it. I mean that I get somewhere between, depending on the commute, because I do my vlogs on my commute, I get somewhere between like 15 to 50 minutes of like me just talking, which is maybe a lot for some people to put up with, but I get that much of like a transcript every time. And I do about 5 of these a week. I've done up to like 10 in a week, but I have hundreds of these videos now. And that means that I have hundreds of transcripts with just me talking. And that means there's tons of examples of, my perspective on things, my point of view, the way that I actually talk, because it's quite literally me talking just like I am on this video. So to be able to give that to an LLM to then go try and generate content will be significantly better than me just going back to right here and having cat facts get generated. Now, there's nothing wrong with cat facts, but of course, this has nothing to do, with my personal brand or the things that I talk about. So I'm just trying to glue a bunch of these pieces together and explain what's going on. But what I want to do now, and I don't have it shown on the screen because it's not actually, built into the user interface yet, because in this format, it wouldn't make a lot of sense. But what we're able to do is essentially generate content for you using an LLM, and we can add it to your topic stream for you to review. Now, like I said already, this will use templates that we have in terms of the post structure and the flow of what's being discussed, but what it will not have is it's not currently, in this implementation, it's not currently going over and leveraging my own content. So the last time I ran this, it did cat facts. I'm just going to change it, like I said, off the screen. We're going to do dog facts, and we're going to generate a couple of posts. So I'll go ahead and send that off. I'm going to keep talking while that's going. So the idea with this, when it's all done, is that we would have the ability, kind of like, I don't just want to call it an agent. I feel like that's like just an overloaded term, but we will have the ability, whether that's something that you can request in BrandGhost directly or manually, or something where we can do daily or weekly ideas for you, but leveraging your content, leveraging the templates that we provide or templates that you want to provide, we can essentially offer you up additional posts into your topic streams. And that way, if you're facing writer's block, you have additional ideas that you can play around with. Now, I said this in the previous video. This is done, by the way, but I said it in the previous video that we don't recommend that you just go take the things that are generated. That would be a bad idea because, like we're going to see in just a second here, if I go open up, this is Paw Facts now. This is lovely. Let's go pull this up. Hopefully it didn't do anything too ridiculous. But, right, like this is totally made up, right? And it didn't actually, like I said, use any of my content. I don't write anything about, dog facts or anything like that. But you don't just want to take what AI generates, because even when it is mostly in your voice and using things like your perspective, when I have tried doing this kind of thing even on my own, it's not going to be perfect, right? There are sometimes it's trying to interpret things and you're like, that's not quite my experience or it's not quite my perspective. It might be close. It might be phrased in a way that you might say it. It might sound like you, but it's not quite right. So we always recommend that you go through and you actually put the human touch in there. This is not meant to replace you as the human. This is meant to help unblock you, help you give you ideas, right? Make sure your writer's block goes away, give you a little bit of a boost so that you can try creating more content because this comes back to momentum. It comes back to consistency and persisting with creating content. So, in this example, right, PawFacts success story is a testament to audience first education and trust. Wow, okay, maybe PawFacts is a thing, and other people watching this actually know about PawFacts, but I just thought like cat facts. I was asking for facts on cats. Um, but maybe it is a thing, right? So Paul Fax was at its peak. Like maybe I should go look this up apparently. But so this took one of the templates. It's a different template, but you can see like it also included a bulleted list. It's talking like it has kind of this bursty syntax still where you can see that it's doing a couple of sentences, like their strategy. So asking a question, sharing something, really short sentence followed by, a bit more sort of meat. Um, and then this one also ends with not a call to action on this one, but it does also say, like, for you as the person who's, the owner of this potential post, like maybe you want to include a visual and here's like what that would look like. Okay, so the idea with this, when this is all up and running and working, is that instead of it being just random stuff like dog paw fact story, or what's this other one that it generated? Like this is a good, maybe a better example, right? This is a sort of a post or a style of post that it could generate, but this is completely made up. Like this is not me, right? So it says, I helped double our local shelter's dog adoption rate. Like, that is not something that I did. That sounds awesome. I didn't do that, though. But you can see this one takes a different structure, right? So this is using a different template than we saw on the other one, right? It's a bit of storytelling, more bulleted lists, another bulleted list. Um, this is sort of like lessons learned. So different post template to work with, but this one's kind of doing some storytelling to hook the reader in. So all of this to say that we will have these templates. You'll be able to, bring your own templates as well. And that way, when we go to generate example posts for you, it should represent, you. It should represent things you talk about and take different inspiration for post structure so that you can have more creative ideas. But at the end of the day, like I've repeated a couple of times so far, you still want to go through and make the post yours. I personally find, and at least people that I've talked to that leverage AI tools this way, that when you have this kind of thing, if you're like me and you're not super creative all the time, and like, for me, I'll go weeks at a time where I'm like, I don't feel like I have a good idea for a post. Having something that generates some ideas for you where they're like part of the way there feels like it unlocks some extra potential where I can read it and go, maybe I get 10 examples and, 8 of them I'm like, absolutely not, those are terrible, but one or two of them I'm like, hey, that's pretty good. Like that feels like something I would want to write about, the style of it or the topic. And then from there, I can go, well, maybe I can get that the rest of the way through myself, right? Like I can put Nick's touch on that. I can spin this to make it more me. I can make sure that it's representing a real experience I have, or maybe the perspective it's sharing is a little bit different from what I would want to offer. But that kind of lets me break through some of those barriers. And I'll just kind of bring this all back to like when we're trying to create content, we want to make sure that we can sustain it. We want to make sure that we're consistent. And tools like BrandGhost, my whole goal with putting this together is so that if you're like me and you want to keep creating content and you want to be consistent with it over a long period of time, having some assistance like this is tremendous. I've shared it in other videos and stuff, but like for writing blog articles, it's been something I haven't made time for doing that, but I still post links to my blog post that exists every day. right? When I don't have inspiration to go write a new LinkedIn post, I still have sort of this like repository, this topic stream of all of these LinkedIn posts that I can recycle, but there's hundreds of them. So that's it for this video. But when the feature is complete and we have this available, I'm very excited to show you this all coming together, because this sort of flow is something that I've been leveraging. I leverage it a lot with my video transcripts, and it helps me a tremendous amount with getting more content put together. Still have to put the human touch on it though, and we don't want that to go away. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.